Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Early Bird Special with your hosts, Carole Montgomery and Julia Scotti. And now, here's Carole Montgomery.
Hey, everybody. How are you? Welcome, 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 welcome. It is the Early Bird Special. And, hey, so how is everybody feeling right now? I'm sure we're all still very sad over the news that happened over the weekend. We lost we lost an icon, and not just I we're not going to get into the whole liberal conservative thing, but this woman was an icon in so many ways. I mean, she did more for women's rights than anybody, really. And so, it took me by surprise. We were all hoping she was going to stick it out because she was 87 years old and she was fucking planking. I mean, Jesus, what an awesome woman that was. So I'm a little upset. Leslie, I see what you wrote. I agree with you. I'm just sad. I'm sad that she will not be respected the way she should be. Her dying wish, of course, was, we all know what her dying wish was, and God forbid we would have anybody in the administration that had empathy. But we'll talk more about this on the show. We are in month 6 of the quarantine. Good news, everybody. I put on my jeans just for shits and giggles, and they actually fit, which was shocking because I have not stopped eating or drinking since the quarantine. So that's great news. I think it's because I've been walking a lot, and I still, I'll talk to Christy about this, but I'm still lifting weights because Christy was the first person to tell me, our guest, Christy Miller, the fabulous Christy Miller. We'll talk all about that too. So, so I'm very excited about that. I'm excited that I gained the weight. I don't know where the weight is. I think it might just be in my stomach. Could be in my tits. I don't really know because my tits are, anyway. So what else is happening? Just the usual, doing a lot of park shows outside. That's going to change in about 3 weeks when it gets really cold. I still don't like doing Zoom shows, but I am doing them because comics need to be on stage and work out their material. So let's bring Julia on. Let's talk to Julia. I'm sure she's feeling the same way I am. So I apologize if I'm not my usual perky self, which I don't really ever think I was perky, but I'm just. People who know me know that I don't back down from a fight. So I think I need to just take a breath and breathe. Take a breath and breathe, and then continue the good fight. Because like I've always said, the whole thing with the Supreme Court is it's not my deal because there's dust down there. So there's not like I ever have to worry about ever getting pregnant again. It's for my children and my grandchildren and your grandchildren. So let's bring Julia on. Let's see what Julia has to say about this. Hey, hi.
I'm torn between being stupid and goofy because I have always had plenty of stupid, goofy stuff to do, and being truly scared at this moment in time. And I think I'm going to go with scared today because I too was shocked when the news came over. I just kept. It was so selfish because I kept saying, "Couldn't you just have held out a couple more months?" Right. It's the poor woman who was, suffering with cancer. But
4 times she had cancer 4 fucking times.
and still managed to work out, which is more than I did. And I can't. But I was having this conversation today. And I don't mean to drag politics in this, but his being able to pick a Supreme Court justice does not bode well for LGBTQ people, and if this election doesn't go the way I pray that it will, I don't know what I'm going to do. I seriously, I'm going to look. I have to look into living somewhere else. I don't know what else to do anymore. I can't. Anyway,
I know, but and if it makes you, I mean, we will do this together. We will fight this together, all of us, because if
I
anybody,
think we're on the verge. I think we're on the verge of something.
yeah, if anyone lays a fucking hand on you, I swear to fucking God, I will rip someone's nuts off, because I just can't. I can't deal. I can't deal with this. So here's some of the to maybe make us feel better. Is that I agree with you. We were all like, why couldn't you have held on anymore? But I wouldn't be surprised, and this is just me speculating. She was a brilliant woman. I wouldn't be surprised if she made sure there were certain things that they could do that we're not privy to yet. Because I think the next 6 weeks are going to be, you thought it was a just shit show before. I think I think so much is coming out. Like today, there was a whole thing that Ron Johnson, who is, I guess, the Republican senator from Tennessee, he wrote this. He had a whole report about Hunter Biden, problematic, and it turns out it doesn't. They feel it's problematic, but there was no evidence that he did anything wrong. So then I tweeted to him, hey, you know what? That's great. Now do Donald Trump Jr., now do Ivanka Trump, and now do Eric Trump. It's like every time they do something, they're really taking a mirror and showing the world them.
Well, they did it with Hillary, too, and the October surprise, and they did it with Comey, the Comey letter and all.
Right.
Here's the October surprise I would like to see. I would like to see the Southern District of New York on October 1st indict every fucking one of them and show up at the White House and put them all in manacles and lead them out of there and just arrest them all.
I don't know if we'll get the big guy, but I cannot imagine that there isn't something like, I was having this discussion last night on one of the shows. It's like what I don't get. And I'm not a rose-colored glasses person, but I'm just like, somebody tweeted this, and I thought this was the greatest. Can we get to the end of the Trump movie where all you see are how much the jail sentences were? Like, when the credits, Donald Trump. But we want to get to the end of this, because to me it really feels like the bad guys are winning.
There is I was out on Saturday riding around, and there was a guy who set up a table, and he keeps moving it. It's like a floating crap game, a card table. And he's got Trump flags, and he's handing out crap,
Right.
And I think he's just trying to unload the stuff before the election.
Right.
So he doesn't get stuck with a big inventory of Trump crap. But I'm a peaceful, gentle person. You won't find anybody gentler than I am. And I this rage, as I saw him, I'm approaching him on the road. I actually literally slowed down, rolled my window down, and I just yelled, "You fucking traitor!" Just like
Good
that.
for you.
And
Good for you.
And I was like, what is happening to me? That's not me.
Right. Well, that's what they want. They want us to become them. Like, I do believe we have to fight back. I do believe we have to fight back. But
how?
I have no idea. I have no idea. If McDonald's, the person who eats McDonald's every fucking day and doesn't have any ailments, I don't understand what's happening to the universe. Do you know what I mean? I just don't.
We don't know why he went to Johns Hopkins a couple of months ago. We don't know why.
Yeah, we don't know why. So, and I apologize to our audience. I know, usually Julia and I are very light.
I do have good news.
Yes.
Look, I got a medal. Where is it? Can you see it? From Weight Watchers. It's the second one I got.
Oh, congratulations. How much have you lost?
I got one yesterday. Well, the first one was for 5 pounds. This one's for losing 10, but I've actually lost 15. So
wow.
Oprah better get that medal in the mail. Yeah. It's the best.
Congratulations on that. And also, in a very weird note, since you're talking about medals, and I, of course, go to awards, Women of a Certain Age got an inadvertent shout out at the Emmys. Did you hear?
No. Oh, yeah. I saw what you put. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So Catherine O'Hara, if you
Who
are
I love.
listening,
Yes.
or one of her friends, or Catherine O'Hara, please contact us because we are still doing a lot of live shows next year, and God, we would love to have you be a part of our show.
God, yeah.
Catherine O'Hara, if for the people who don't know, and people texted me and said, "Oh my God, she just mentioned your show." So she basically thanked the Emmy, and she thanked Dan and Eugene Levy for letting her play a woman of a certain age. And literally, we were all like, "What?" It was great. So
did you see too that Funny That Way is going to be at the New Fest in
no. Tell me about that.
New York. In New York, we finally made it to New York.
Yay.
We're going to be in New Fest, which is a big film festival in New York. It's going to be virtual, of course, that highlights LGBTQ stories. And in fact, we got a nice mention in the Hollywood Reporter today. So
wow.
Yeah, I know.
You're a big fucking star. Big fucking star. So if anybody touches her, I will stab you in the neck.
In the eye. Go in the eye.
Well, you go for the neck because then you see the blood.
Then you got, okay.
Anyway, so let's bring on our fabulous guest.
I'm excited to meet her.
Oh, you've never met Christy?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, Christy's gonna. I've told the story a billion times. So, Christy and I have been friends forever. I'm actually wearing the Comedy Store T-shirt. So, we met years ago at the Comedy Store. We were both young. We were both thin. We were both tight. That was a long fucking time ago. But then we reconnected here in the city, and I was talking to her. We went out to lunch one time, and I said, I go to the gym every day. I do cardio every day. She goes, Carole, stop the cardio, just lift weights. And you know what? When people say how good I looked in the first, second special, it's all because Christy Miller told me to lift weights. And I will tell you this, the only reason I haven't hired her as a personal trainer is because I want to live to actually do another special because she's a fucking killer. She's open for Paul Mooney. She's open for Andrew Dice Clay. She's a headliner in her own right. So everybody, let's give a hand to Christy Miller. Yay! Hi, beautiful.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, Julia.
How are you?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
I'm good. I love the graphic in the background.
That's my podcast. Christy Miller.
Grabbing the guy.
Yeah. Yes.
By the hips and carry him up the Empire State Building.
That's hysterical.
You should do her podcast. It's wonderful. It's a lot of fun. You can do it.
We're moving to Governor's Radio. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I'd love to do it. Yeah.
Are you going to the?
It's all celebrity gossip, trash talking, reading for filth, basically. So we're very trashy. We're like Wendy Williams on steroids, but way funnier.
Yeah, she's not a funny woman, Wendy.
No.
Anyway,
it's the steroids. That's why.
How are you holding up since last weekend?
I'm coming down now. It was as you know, Carole, I wrote a pilot for a new comedy network called BMG Comedy Channel, and we taped a tech rehearsal of the pilot, and this is all virtual, so it's all like we don't know what was going to happen, and it was fun. Learned a lot from it. I'm going to keep the footage and just go over it for myself, and then we're going to reshoot it again because there was a lot of mishaps in it.
There were a lot of mishaps. I was in the pilot. I was one of the judges.
Yes.
But it was a lot of, yeah.
There were some things that happened, and so we had to, they wanted to can it right there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, and yeah, I mean, and how are you doing? Like, I meant to ask you this. So with the gyms have started to reopen now. So are you back to training people?
One person that I'm excited to find a new place to work out, but mostly I just train my elderly people that are in their house right now. That's most of the people that have money that keep me with a roof over my head so I can do free, do shitty shows at night, in the clubs. They've left because, rich people get to leave. They get to avoid any kind of COVID, any kind of homeless people punch you in the face, any kind of mugging. So they take off. So they're all out of state.
Hey, Christy, can I ask you a workout question?
Of course.
Okay. About 2 years ago, coming up in December, I had quadruple bypass surgery.
Okay.
and a valve replacement, two actually. And so I've been really focusing on cardio to get to rebuild my heart, which is working. It's almost back to normal, but I'm not losing the weight I want to lose. I mean, I've lost some, obviously, but I I don't know why it's in my head that the cardio is more important for my heart than lifting.
Because that's what we've been taught all these years. Cardio, cardio, cardio. That's what because fitness is such a young industry. I'm a nerd with fitness. Like, I'm a total nerd with this stuff. This is like my comic book. This is my hobby. This is when I'm not on stage selling jokes, I will be in a gym somewhere lifting. We've been, it's a very young industry. So there's a lot of things we don't know long-term effects of. So like in the 80s and the 90s, all the cardio bunnies with their thongs up their ass and leg warmers on the Stairmaster looking adorable, which is great. But lifting weights, you will have a longer lifespan getting stronger than you are just doing cardio. So I always tell people, just focus, whatever it is, just focus on getting stronger. If you're strong, you can do anything. And if you're lifting weights, I do powerlifting. So my heart's racing, I'm sweating, so it's more interval training. I also use kettlebells. And
I was watching you. I was looking at some of your video on YouTube today.
She's amazing. I mean, she's like, seriously, she and listen, I don't lift like she does because she's out of her. You can't even see her. I mean, she's out of her mind, Christy. When it comes to, she's amazing with the powerlifting. But like I lift 10 or 15 pounds and I have takes me about 20, 25 minutes. But it really was a huge difference from
Well, I remember
body.
You were talking about your arms when we were taping.
Right.
And now I can't stop looking at your arms every time.
There's those.
I mean, but they're not there. But I wanted to have that's exactly true. I mean, the cardio, and I was going to the gym and I was doing this treadmill and bikes and everything every single day and nothing was happening. The only way I saw my body change, and for me to wear a one-piece pantsuit on television, knowing full well the camera adds something, that's why that all had to do with the lifting. So I would, recommend lifting too.
So you don't think it would be dangerous for me? It's not dangerous for me?
No. Are you cleared to work out by your doctor?
Yeah. No, in fact, I went to cardiac rehab for after, when I was recovering. Now I'm just out on my own.
What I always tell people too is that, first of all, it takes muscle to burn fat. Fat doesn't burn fat. And we live Carole and I live in New York City. So New York City sidewalks are our treadmills. So it always blew my mind that somebody would pay $250 a month to go to a gym in New York City, that they would walk to the gym to go stand on a treadmill and walk some more and then walk home. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So you need to lift weights. Work smarter, not harder. Muscle burns fat. Fat doesn't burn fat. But the key is you've got to learn how to move your body correctly under load. If you don't, you could get hurt.
Well, that's the problem. I also have 2 hip replacements, and I had spinal surgery last year. I'm a complete mess.
She's the bionic woman.
What is she, the Terminator? What the? You have a hard time traveling. Beep, 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 beep.
Yes, I do. I can't. They're
fine. She's pulling out her hips. Yeah, put this on the belt. Put that on the belt.
And I got a pacemaker too. So
yeah, she's yeah. If we build her,
they will come.
So I'm a little. You can understand why I might be a little.
Oh, absolutely. Off camera, I could show you some stuff. Yeah.
I didn't want to occupy the whole time. Just.
But yeah, I would, for you, especially plus women of a certain age. After the ages of 35 and 40, you start to lose testosterone, both men and women. Testosterone.
Well,
yeah, especially hello.
I did it.
But you have certain levels of testosterone to keep your muscle mass on your body. You've got to have muscle mass so you don't get weak, brittle, osteoporosis. And
I had that. Here's the thing: I don't take. I take estrogen supplement because I can't. So I have no means of producing testosterone anymore. So
you can't. There's no pills that you could take for testosterone.
take testosterone. The last thing I ever want in my body again is testosterone.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
The best thing for you would just to be resistance training, some kind of weight training, just to keep that muscle mass on. I'm not talking like brolic. I'm just talking, just keep lean muscle mass so your body can function better. Because if your muscle atrophies, then you're going to get weak. That's when osteoporosis sets in.
Right.
Fall and break a hip. Well, not yours, titanium.
Well,
But
my legs are in good shape because I walk a couple of miles a day. What I was thinking of doing was getting the weights that go around my arm and or maybe just bringing a light weight with me and walking with it.
you can do that. Power walk with the weight. You might want to. It just depends. You don't want anything too heavy around your wrists because then it'll start to pull and put stress on the elbow, and then your shoulders will start to elevate, and then because of the weight resistance, you want something that's more on your body, maybe like a weighted vest or something, or some kind of a weighted belt.
Ooh, Kevlar.
Yes.
Exactly.
And you're gonna need, and you'll be able to.
I'm going to need it. Yes.
You're going to need it on November 4th when the Civil
Double
War
duty,
happened,
yeah.
so it'll work harder.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about comedy. So, Christy is a killer on stage. So one of the things we always love to talk about when we have the girls on is let's talk about what it was like, because two of the men you worked with who were brilliant comics. People, their personas are very misogynistic. I know that they're not, because you've dealt with them. Do you know what I mean? So let's talk a little bit about Paul Mooney first, and then we'll talk about Dice.
Oh, homie. Oh, homie. Paul Mooney is probably one of the greats, or the greatest. I always call him the godfather of comedy.
Yeah.
Everybody went to Paul. We used to call him late nights at the Comedy Store. Oh, the professor's here. And Paul would close it out in the main room, and we would just sit in there, or late night in the OR. He would close it out, and all the comics would sit around and just watch him. And working with him for 12 years was probably some of the best comedy school, especially when I was starting out, only a couple of years in, being able to open for him. It taught me a lot about freedom on stage, to say what you want to say and not be afraid, freedom to be myself, and never back down from a joke, and just stay true, and don't worry about, am I going to offend somebody? Am I going to look bad? No, you just do your shit. And Paul always supported me for that. Now, here's a man who comes off as militant, racist, anti-white, but he's so not. He's talking about the system itself. Right. The system that this country's built into. So he's not talking about white people. So, but my favorite part was like late nights at the store, we'd be in the back screaming, laughing, and there'd always be that white couple from like, bumfuck Midwest, having like their little white meeting in the back, going, "Oh, this is terrible. Oh my God. We should leave. This is not right. We should write a letter. I'm going to tell the manager." And we're screaming at them, laughing at them, and he's picking. Then he, picks. "Oh, I hope niggers are burglarizing your house when you get home." When he but. This is a man who's probably the most kind, generous, loving, nurturing. If he had $5, he would give you the $5 because he knew he could make another $5 somewhere else. That's how generous he was.
I remember when I met him at the store. It is funny because his persona is so militant. Yeah. And also, Christy is white, and she's, she would go on the, I know, I'm sorry. That she would go on the road to do this, and it was, it was mostly black audiences.
Paul Mooney's audiences are Paul Mooney audiences. They're die-hard Mooney fans. Yep. They don't want to see anything on that stage with them in front of Paul. Like, they could care less who's on stage. So if you can win them over, it's a pretty big feat.
Yeah, that in itself we've all been in that situation. Yeah, that's a tough one to be in.
It's tough, but it made me who I am. It made me tougher. Late nights in the OR, Mitzi can be late night spots in the OR every night, and that made me tough. Opening for Mooney made me tougher, and it also those years with Mooney, and then working on and off with Dice, and then just going back with Dice last year on the road. Now here's an opposite extreme. You got the misogynist pig, total treat everybody's unequal. Like his fans are like the right side, and Paul's fans were like the left side.
Yeah.
But they're both extremes. So
Right.
I was able to crush it with Dice's fans as I am with a Paul Mooney crowd. Because
did you find you had to adapt to each one, adapt your act, or did you just stay true to yourself?
I just stayed true. Because when I found out, like in the beginning with Mooney, because I'm like, oh, this is an all black room. I gotta, because some of my jokes wouldn't fly because they were like, like pop, like rock and roll kind of stuff, and they wouldn't know who I was talking about. So then I would just do, okay, well, let me see what the R&B, like the artists that I like or whatever that are in the news, and switch it and put them in that situation.
Right.
And but the stronger I got over the years, like, because I started out with Paul as a baby, like literally still like placenta around my ears. It was like fresh off the farm. And so I was thrown into the wolves, but it just taught me how to just let go and be myself. And I think that's where working with Paul like that at such a young comedy age, that it really taught me, just do you. It doesn't matter. It will translate. And I find they both translate.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say to go on what you said, I think Julia's heard this. You might have heard this, but I don't know if the audience has heard the story that when I opened for Thea one time, so this is after she had her series.
Right.
So she says, come on the road with me. I said, okay. So I was her opening act. And so we were somewhere, same thing, a huge theater, all black audience. The MC, it was some DJ, because it's always a fucking DJ. and Thea says, he says, this is Carole Montgomery. She's my opening act. Introduce her. She'll do her time, then bring me on. Right? Okay. He goes on. He whips them into a frenzy about Thea. And then he goes, he just keeps whipping them like, Thea's here. Thea's here. And so he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Thea Vidal. And the audience is going crazy. And he comes back and Thea goes, what the fuck? Carole's my opening act. You have to go bring Carole up. Okay, so now we've got an audience of crazed fans screaming, Thea, Thea, Thea. So he goes, ladies and gentlemen, we have an opening act. Boo! I haven't even been on stage yet. And so they bring me on, Carole Montgomery. I was blonde back then. Okay, so imagine what I look like. I walk out and they're just screaming at me. Woo! They bring me on to Snoop Dogg. Okay, they bring me on to a Snoop Dogg song, and I walk out and they're screaming and they're booing me and everything. And I waited till I got a moment in, and I said, "Thank you very much. I love the music. I'm so glad. I'm so glad Snoopy found a place after Peanuts." And it was silent. It was silent. And Thea, I see Thea dying. She's dying like either Carole is going to live or she's going to get shot right now. Yep. And the audience, it took a minute, but the audience went, oh, that white bitch, she's confusing Snoop Dogg with Snoopy. And it was fine.
Yeah.
That was it. And then I had them for the rest of the, my 10 minutes. But it's what, and I've always, I love to work in all rooms. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's black or white, or I think the whole thing about being true to yourself, and Julia and I have talked about this on the show many times, about you have to stay true to your comedy. Mm-hmm. That's why I knew when I went out and made that comment, they knew what they were getting with me. I didn't kiss their ass. I just went out and went, well, fuck it. It goes one or two ways. They either like me or they shoot me. You know what I mean? Because Thea loved that about me too, because I just went out and did what I had to do. And it's so important to stay true to your comedy.
That is not the time to try to find a new persona. That is definitely not the time. I had that happen with what's his name? Get Down Tonight. What's his name? Casey and the Sunshine Band. I guess they have a large black following. They do, right?
Yeah.
And I got booked to open the show, and I didn't know that. And I walk out, and the same thing, Carole. They just like, Casey, fuck you, get off, and it was ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's in comedy, and it's not just, if there's people watching going, why are you just singling out black audiences? We're not singling out black audiences.
No.
It has to do with you could be going to an audience of white fucking Republicans, and you have to stay true to what you do. If you pander to an audience, whether it's white, black, yellow, orange, then you've lost what is considered the soul of your comedy. You
But we're
cannot
only
pander.
referring black audiences because Christy was talking about work.
Right, absolutely.
I can play black rooms, white rooms, and gay
Right.
rooms. Those are
Right.
my home bases. And
Right.
I always call it like when white people go to a black room and I always call it white cooning. Like you
Right.
start you're cooning to the audience. I go, it's completely insulting.
Right.
It's completely stupid, and it makes you look like an asshole.
Right.
So why don't you just be you? If you're too afraid, then you just need to get off the stage and go figure out something else to do, because you need to be able to just go up. Whether you suck or not, whether they take to you or not, doesn't matter. But you got to be yourself.
Yeah.
You just
Always.
it doesn't matter, because I've gone up in like extremely uptight white rooms where they were just staring at me, and there was always that couple in the back that was screaming, laughing, and
Right.
they always tell me, like, that audience was just too. I met 2 fans from Australia that way. I still talk to them, Guy and Marge. They're brother and sister. They were visiting New York a couple years ago. And I ended up going on early because the comic didn't show up. So they said, hey, will you go up since the opener's not here? I'm like, yeah, I'll go on. I'll open the show. So I went on, and it was, my act's a little abrasive. It's a lot to start off at 9 o'clock.
Julia, she makes me look like a nun.
Yeah.
And that's,
Make
yeah,
anyone look like a nun.
that's true. That's true.
But
Yeah.
I just think if we are comics, we can't be, we can't say I can't go to that gig because I'm afraid to,
Right.
I'm afraid to work. Then you're not a comic.
Exactly.
Either
I mean,
either you do it or you don't. You
Right.
can't.
Well,
Funny
what? Go ahead.
Funny is funny. It doesn't
Right.
matter. Funny
Exactly.
translates in any language.
And
Funny.
if you are funny, regardless of who the audience is, they will find it. You may have to fight a little bit.
Right.
You may have to go a couple of rounds with them before they understand that you're funny.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you are funny, they will find you.
And if you commit to your character and
Yes.
commit 1,000% to your words, they're going to go
Right.
with you if they make sense.
Well, when you get to this, you're free. Okay. I thought you were frozen there for a moment, Christy. Are you okay?
Spectrum has been, the whole neighborhood was out for the last couple of days. So this is
Oh,
like
okay.
we've actually had internet and TV.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But it also, and I think it has to do with, we're all older now. Christy just turned 50 last week. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
But I think also it has to do with the older you get, the more you feel more strong about who you are on stage.
Yeah, and the older you get, the less you care what people think.
Right. I think
Right.
that's more important.
And you become, like, I remember when I turned 30, I stopped giving a fuck. But
Right.
it was in my head. And then when I turned 40, I started feeling like I don't give a fuck. And
Right.
now I'm 50, I will tell you I don't give a fuck.
Ah!
Yeah.
Like, it gets stronger and stronger because you just get less tolerant of the bullshit.
Well,
Right.
for me, it was coming back to find out I didn't give a fuck because I with everything I've been through, for some person in the audience to tell me I'm not, good enough or funny enough or whatever, it's like I don't give a rat's ass what you think of me. If you don't like me, then go,
Right.
go.
Right.
I do jokes that make me laugh. If I'm laughing as I'm writing it,
Right.
I'm doing it. If it doesn't make me laugh, I'll just throw the joke away.
I
Yeah.
still have jokes that make me laugh that never
Nobody
get a laugh.
laughs at.
I still do them. I like them.
My first big bit that I had, like my big closer, was Cher. I imitate Cher. I can sing like Cher.
She's a great share.
And my first time doing her, like when I started comedy, I put the wig on, and Jeff Scott would put the piano player, at the Comedy Store would put the karaoke tape for If I Could Turn Back Time. And I would go up on stage with a walker as the song's playing. And the crowd would be screaming, falling out just at that visual. And I get up to the mic and I start singing, and then I fall asleep in the mic and just snore. That was like my first big bit. And then Cher became my big closing bit, and it became this whole thing with her finding out about Chastity being gay. This is how old this bit is, and how she was the last to know. So it became this whole scenario with her and Chaz at the Malibu beach house, and it became this huge closing bit for like 7 minutes. So it was like this huge thing. That was like my first big bit, but it's like, but that joke still makes me laugh.
Right.
So I'll still do it. And there's jokes I've done in the past. I'm like, it doesn't make me laugh. That was so like in that dated time frame and when it happened.
Right.
But
by the way, ladies, I just wanted, some people are in saying hi. So I want to just quickly give a shout out to some people. Hold on. There you go. Don and Mitch are there. And
my buddies.
Mary Beth. And Jan Karam. Hi, guys. Jan. And Jay McBride.
Hi, Jay.
And happy birthday, Christy from Rhoda.
Thanks, Rhoda. Thank you, honey.
And I think I'm trying to find Dina Marie. There it is. And here's Dina. Hey.
Hi, Dina.
Yes, Dina, I love you so much. I miss you.
Yeah, we met. I think that's the thing I miss. That's one of the reasons why I love doing the show, is because I just miss this. I missed the bullshitting. Do you know what I mean? I miss running into people in the club and then just sitting around and having a drink afterwards and just talking. It makes me sad that we're not there yet. Do you know what I mean? Did you see in the news? I didn't go to it, but there was a whole thing down at the New York Comedy Club. A bunch of the club owners, and I don't think Schumer was there, but there was some representative there, because they're basically, as in New York, Julia, I think you know this, comedy clubs are considered the same as strip clubs.
Sure they are. We don't make as much money though. That's the problem.
That's what Vicky Cooperman said. She goes, "There's one big difference: comedians don't make money." Right. Okay.
And strippers don't have to bring 5 people.
Right. Exactly. So and they're still trying. I'm hoping because it's gotten some news. It's gotten some press. Oh, Laurie Somerset is saying hi.
Hi,
Laurie. And Bud Wheeler. Look at all these people watching our show.
We got an audience.
We have an audience. So Christy, because I hate to say this, we're already at almost 40 minutes, but let's ask you. I mean, tell us about the worst show you've ever had. That the audience always likes to hear that the horror stories.
Oh, this is great. I was just telling this story the other day. I was probably 2 years in the game, and I was opening for a friend of mine at 4th and B in San Diego, and Mike Wilson.
Okay.
And he does a lot of cruise ships. He's in person. He does like almost 1,000 voices. He goes, well, it's probably like 70, but I rounded up to the nearest 1,000. But he could do any voice, and he's really talented, and he loves me. He loves my crassness. He loves how crazy I am on stage. So he asked me to open for him. So I'm like, oh, I'm excited. I'm like 2 years in, I'm still green. So I'm driving down to San Diego. There's a huge accident. So I'm stuck in traffic. And I used to have that my 1970 Volkswagen Bug convertible.
Okay.
I had the top down. It's a gorgeous summer day. I'm stuck in traffic. Normally it takes like 3 hours to get there. Did we lose Julia?
Yeah. Julia,
no, I put on my do not disturb thing, and I got a phone call anyway. My sister.
All right. I just want to make sure. Okay.
I can't see me though. Am I still there?
Yeah,
I thought she was naked. She had to change her clothes or something.
It doesn't matter.
I'll remove. Do you want me to remove you and see if you can?
No. Well, you can take me out, put me back in.
Okay, I'll take you out. Hold on.
Once I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
And please, nope, still not there. Okay.
Yeah, still not there. Well, while we're trying to figure this out, Laurie said this.
Are you kidding? That's some of my best shows at West Side.
Thank you for not saying your worst show was at West Side. That's hysterical. Oh my God, that's so funny. We've lost Julia.
I'm gonna get out and come back in. I could, and then I'm gonna go beat the shit out of my sister.
Okay. So
I'll be back.
All right. Goodbye. Yeah. So continue with the story. So it was the worst
accident.
Right. She's back. Okay. All right. Yeah, you're back.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me just, before you go into the accident, Chrissy, let me just explain to the people who are not from LA. There's only one way to get to San Diego. It's the 5, right? Is it the 5?
Yes.
And if that thing backs up, it's like it's like 80 here. Like if there's an accident, you're fucked, because that one's happened to me where there was a major accident and it took us like 6 hours to get to a gig that should have taken us an hour. So go ahead. So major accident.
We're sitting. We don't know why, because it's before social media and the internet and all that stuff. So I'm sitting in the car, tops down. It took me like a 3-hour drive. Took me almost 6 hours.
Yep.
So instead of getting to the hotel early, dropping my stuff off, getting something to eat, relaxing, doing what I had to do, I got there literally with like 10 minutes to get to the theater. And I literally raced to the hotel, dropped off. I'm sunburned because I'd been in the car for 6 hours in the heat and the sun. So I'm like, oh my God, my skin's fried. I'm a mess. I'm exhausted. I'm hungry. I get to the theater and I race in there and they bring me up. And now, mind you, like I said, Mike's very cruise ship, corporate, clean, funny, but like that, everything I'm not, he is. So I go on and I start doing stuff about Courtney Love and Hull. It was an old bit back then. And boo, I'm on fire. I'm getting booed. I can't, like, I'm starving. Like, I'm like seeing double because I was so exhausted, heat exhaustion, hungry. And it was like the worst, like the whole time. I stood there and I just started laughing because they were booing so hard. And I'm dying laughing at the whole thing. So I just wrapped it and walked off. Like, I was supposed to do 10, I think it was. Yeah, I was supposed to do 10. I think I was gone by 7 or 8. Like, I just bailed because it was so bad. I couldn't get them because I was so discombobulated. And it was, when you're not focused, it just goes to shit. Because I always take responsibility if the audience doesn't get me. I always own it because it's like they came here to be entertained. Mm-hmm. If I'm in my head or distracted or upset about something, I'm not going to be focused and be in the moment. So I bombed horrendously. And I get off stage and the sound guy goes, well, you suck. And like walked
Wow.
It was the funniest thing. But I was laughing so hard on stage. I was laughing at them booing me for a minute. Scream.
Well, you were probably all, let's just be honest though. You were, first of all, you were sunburned. You were probably dehydrated. The fact that you were even coherent is amazing to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I've done that. I mean, like, I remember years ago there used to be a great gig in Hawaii. It's no longer there. But the thing I never understood about the audiences was that they were sun drunk. So they would get to the show because they'd spent the whole day on the beach drinking and they're sunburned, and they come to the audience. They come to the show like this. And you're like, and you're going, how? And they just no reaction because you could have easily been dehydrated, young lady.
Oh, I was dehydrated, starving, exhausted, and then I just drove back home. I just drove back.
But did you have that little moment when that happens where you suddenly reevaluate your whole life in 30 seconds? While you're up there and it's happening, you just
I'm like, well, if I jump from this high stage, if I land properly, my neck will snap.
It's like it snapped my neck.
And I win.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've all been there. We've all been like, you all just start. And you're on stage. I mean, I've talked about this before. I think we all agree on this. That civilians don't understand that while we're on stage and we're doing our stuff, there's a person right next to us who is us having you're having that whole inner dialogue. While you're on stage,
the board of directors up there. It's going on. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and people think, and they're like, well, you always do it. You're like, all right, like you're checking out. This person's not laughing. Or that guy just peed over there. There's so much going on in your head.
I always remember that movie City of Angels.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicolas Cage played Seth Plate, the angel. I always have that guy standing there telling me what's going on. You shouldn't say, look, you suck, or that joke's killing, and like gauging the room. So I always feel like City of Angels on that. But one of my favorite one night I thought it was going to be a disaster, and it turned out in my favor. which was a fun night, was with Mooney at Caroline's because we were playing. That's why I moved to New York because I was working with him every week as a late show. So Mooney likes to pick up strays when it comes to performers, you know, because he's that guy. He gives. Yeah. And he'll pick up a stray singer or a stray or somebody that's like homeless that telling jokes on the street. He'll give them a shot. He's that guy. So one night, sold out, wall-to-wall people at Caroline, Saturday night, right? It's standing room only. And this guy goes up before me. He was a singer. Apparently, I guess he'd done Lion King before. I think he was lying about that. He was the Lion King. And he went up, handsome guy. He went up and played guitar, and he sang the song Jelly Roll. And talking, yelling. And I'm like, I got to follow this? I go, in a Mooney crowd, they hate him. And now here comes Whitey McWhitestein coming on the stage. I'm going to die. So the only thing I could think of to do, and then Robin Montague brings me up, and I go up, and they just stare at me like, oh, what the fuck now? Like, we're here to see Mooney, not this bullshit variety show. And I walked up, and I said, well, you just had Jelly Roll. Now you got Jelly Sandwich. And the whole place.
That's
crazy. And I had them right there, and I crushed it. But I was like terrified. Like it was hilarious.
But that's a veteran move. That's, you know, a newbie would have just folded and collapsed in tears. Yeah.
Right. So listen, ladies. I hate to tell you this, but we're at our peak. We've already. I know. I told you it goes fast, right? The audience knows this, right? Audience, anyone out there still listening? Chrissy, what do you have to plug, my dear?
Well, Christy Unleashed with JC Best right now or tonight on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. on Facebook Live. But we're moving in October to Governor's Radio. So I'll get the details when we get that. Might be Wednesday nights. We're going to settle that next week. I'm doing a park show Saturday at 5. Woo!
Woo!
It's going to be me and a couple others, Aaron Berg and Eric Angel and all these guys. This will be a fun show. But
that should be where in the park?
85th.
Okay. Yeah. And Julia, I'm plugging your movie right now.
Okay. Yes, we just it's going to be at the New Fest in I think it's next week or something. But there'll be announcements, and also don't forget. Yeah. Hello, boys. I'm back.
Okay, and we have our I'm trying to do this here. Okay, Twitter and Instagram are on the feed right now. I am doing a show in the park also on Friday at Sheep Meadow. And people who are listening, thank you for coming back and listening to the show. We appreciate you. We love having you guys. Support the show, support comedy, go to a comedy show, buy our merchandise, do whatever you have to do to support so we can get over this.
You know,
and wear a mask.
And wear a mask. Chrissy, when we're going to end, and then we'll stay on for a second so you and Julia can connect. So just don't leave the room yet. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you again for watching. Bye. Bye.